Appamada's programs and facilities are supported through your generosity. Your support really does make a huge difference. You'll find a link for contributions on the website at appamada.org/contribute. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. So glad to have our two guests here this morning. It's very nice to see you guys here. Yeah, and Kim, as always. It's wonderful to see all of you online. Okay, so the first thing I would like to do is I gave you guys a poem that I wanted to read. I really like it. It's something that I was introduced to quite a while ago through Flint at a intensive. And it's a description, well, what is our life about? It's about our life, and it's about our practice. And so what is our life about? You guys can chant in too, right? Okay. Our aspiration, our calling, our desire for a genuine life is to see the truth of who we really are, that the nature of our being is connectedness and love, not the illusion of a separate self to which our suffering clings. It is from this awareness that life can flow through us, the unconditioned manifesting freely as our conditioned body. And what is the path? To learn to reside in whatever life presents, to learn to attend to all those things that block the flow of a more open life, and to see them as the very path to awakening. All the constructs, the identities, the holding back, the projections, all the fears, the self-judgments, the blame, all that separates us from letting life be. And what is the path? To turn away from constantly seeking comfort and from trying to avoid pain, to open in the willingness to just be in this very moment, exactly as it is. No longer ready to be caught in the relentlessly spinning mind. Practice is about awakening to the true self. No one special to be, nowhere to go, just being. We are so much more than just this body, just this personal drama. As we cling to our fear and our shame and our suffering, we forsake the gratitude of living from our natural being. So where in this very moment do we cling to our views? Softening around the mind's incessant judgment, we can awaken the heart that seeks to be awakened. And when the veil of separation rises, life simply unfolds as it will. No longer caught in the self-centered dream, we can give ourselves to others like a white bird in the snow. Time is fleeting. Don't hold back. Appreciate this precious life. And as indicated below, this is by Ezra Bayda, from his book Being Zen, and he was a student of Joko Beck's. So I was reading this the other day, and I thought, I wanted to talk about clinging today. And I know we've talked about that before many times, but I thought we'd go over it again today. And the particular source I was looking at was a little bit different than what I've been personally using, which in working with clinging, what's that guy's name? Anyway, there's a different way that some of the insight people do, where you look at the craving and then you use the Four Noble Truths to find out what your actual suffering is and what's behind it and so forth. And this way is a little bit different. This is more typical, I think, actually, of Zen. So But so you can see from this poem, clinging to the illusion of a separate self is the key to consequent suffering. I was using this article called The Development of a Mind That Clings to Nothing. It's by Leo Babauta. It's from zenhabit.net. And according to him, he's saying that one of the great Zen patriarchs, Huineng, was enlightened on hearing a single verse from the Diamond Sutra. And while there are many translations of the sutra, and particularly of this phrase, the key line basically says something like, develop a mind that clings to nothing. So imagine such a mind that doesn't get attached. It doesn't need things to be a certain way. It doesn't require people to behave in a particular way. This mind is at home anywhere because it doesn't need to be anywhere in particular. When the mind stops focusing on its own concerns, one is free from much agitation and upset, and you may find understanding from others' suffering. The Buddha considered clinging as a form of passion or desire that can cause suffering. He also taught that attachment to self is the root cause of all suffering, and that things, if clung to, are a source of suffering. So the way to combat this suffering is to let go. Obviously, easier said than done. So I would like to work, I want to go through this particular suggestion of this writer, how to practice with our clinging, and then we'll do an exercise with it after that. So the first thing that he says to do, this is this Leo Bauta, or Gautama, is start by noticing that you're clinging. So you can do that anytime. You can do that while you're sitting is usually a great time to notice. Or we can notice at any time, just take some time when we're in the middle of our day and say, okay, what am I focusing on now? Oh yeah, I've been harping on this all day. It's been rolling around my mind. So gradually over time, one becomes more and more aware by just checking in of the occurring. So that's the first step, is being aware. Be aware of something you're spinning on. For example, I thought this was really interesting, these examples they gave, they're very, very simple. For example, if you don't like the way your food tastes, that is clinging. Guilty as charged, I hadn't even thought of that. But get the next one, when you need to have coffee, doesn't everybody do that?
Yeah. Every day.
Every day. So anyway, this was really talking to me. I never considered that clinging. Anyway, so that's clinging as well. When you overeat, when you procrastinate, get frustrated, lash out, run to your favorite distractions, shut someone out, all clinging. So one can just start, and the important thing is to start noticing what we do, but do it without judgment. You know, this is just a way to look at what we're doing. I've noticed over time, especially more recently, and I noticed a lot more, and it's like that's the good news and that's the bad news. You need to become aware of it, but not let it overpower you and be judgmental with yourself. It's like, oh, okay, this is what I've gotten, it's a habit I've formed, so let's see how we can change it. So the first step is actually noticing how it feels when we're clinging. Okay, when I want my coffee, it's like Yeah, there's a certain urgency there, like, and I'm not even addicted to caffeine. Caffeine is not good for me, so I usually steer away from it, but it's just the coffee. There's something about the taste of coffee, and maybe it's probably the sugar in it. It's not actually sugar, it's fake sugar. But anyway, so just to notice what you feel when you have the sense of clinging. Um, is there a sense of, I don't know, in the body? Just get curious, and you can practice on fine tuning your attention, so you can pick up on the smaller details. So let's see. Okay, so and then a daily meditation practice is helpful, because then when you want to put off, you just notice when you start meditating, when do you want to put off that meditate? No, I don't want to go meditate today. You can question that. So, why do I really saying that? Sometimes we say, well, I just don't have time. Well, yeah, maybe. Or when you want to get up from your seat, or when you're clinging to anything during meditation, it's an appropriate time to just pay attention to what that is and what it feels like in the body. Is there any sensation or tightness or some urgency? Just notice that kind of stuff. And then the main thing is to practice letting go. And you let go by relaxing. If there's a tightening of the mind and body, if that's what comes up when clinging, just try to notice it and see if you can just relax. Just relax that. And this is a relaxing of your grasp on how you want things to be. That's what's behind it all. It's easier when you don't care that much. So practice in easier situations first, and then get to harder ones that are really consuming. Say to yourself, I don't need things to be my way. I don't need them to be any way. I'm content either way, because no matter what happens, the universe is truly amazing. Yeah, and I found that helps. I catch myself when I'm clinging to something, and something that I wanted to go a certain way, and then I say, what difference does it really make? If it goes this way or that way, we can figure it out. And so it's just a really good approach to that. Yeah. So then notice the self-centeredness of clinging. When clinging to something, it is because you are at the center of the universe. You're the main deal. You want things to go your way. You want to meet your desires or avoid your aversions. You want things to be the way you like it. This is a very human thing, very human thing. This is when we put ourselves at the center of everything. And there's no judgment about that. It's just, we just notice this perspective. So once we get used to kind of looking at this, then we can expand this perspective of letting loose, or just loosening up our grasp on things, and just we can expand this perspective beyond our own self-focused view to get out of clinging. And we do that by seeing another person's perspective, allowing another person's perspective, and understand that they are suffering. A lot of times they're suffering too. Understand that in their suffering and clinging, you are alike, and therefore you are connected. It's like we're all kind of doing this at the same time. And we're affecting each other, supporting each other. And to the extent that you can wish for an end to another's suffering, it benefits both people to end the suffering. So if you can expand your heart to wish for an end to the clinging and the suffering of others, and not worry so much about one's own desires and self-protection. When we expand, we no longer need things to be our way. And lastly, the last step on this method of working with clinging is to see the beauty in everything, the immense, profound awesomeness in every little thing. And so what they're talking about here is, like if you go outside sometimes, and you just see, you see the monarchs, flying around and landing on the flowers and moving off, and then you see the bees, and then I'm out doing this all the time, so great experience. What's going on? You notice every little thing, and it's just wonderful you can just enjoy that and get away from any sort of clinging, just enjoying what is. Just enjoying what is, just see the beauty and the amazingness. And then we don't need to have things to be one way or the other. We're just enjoying. All ways are incredible in their own way. So lastly, don't see yourself as separate. This is the ultimate, right? From everything else, but a part of it all. We're in it all together, and we can fall deeply in love with the fact that we're all part of this thing together. So that is the basic way of trying to get around suffering. It's very simple. And what I'd like to do a little practice with that. So what we'll do is get into pairs, 2 and 2, and then we'll just go through this same list, but what we'll do is, okay. So the first thing we're going to do is decide who is going to, in your pairs, who's going to speak first. Let's start that before you start the exercise. And then we can do this 2 ways. I think it'd be better to work together. Each person will talk and just kind of think of something, not the worst thing imaginable on clinging, but just something simple, just like we were talking earlier about how we want things a certain way, just that kind of thing, and just play with that, just do low level sort of things. And you'll be talking to the other person. So the other person will be kind of cueing them by saying, okay, notice the clinging that arises, recall without judgment your feeling. So, and then you'll just say what those feelings or sensations are, and just state of mind when you're thinking about clinging for something. And then the second one, the first one is think of a particular time you're clinging. The second one is looking at it closer. The third one is the letting go. So then the person will read to what that's, to relax the tightening of the mind and body, the relaxing of the grasp, blah, blah, blah. So just be cueing the other person, and they'll be responding. So, and then you switch people. So now, as far as the time goes, and then we'll come back and we'll take if there's a couple of minutes. So say we have about, how about if we just do about 8 minutes each talking, going through the list of the clinging, and then, so each person does 8 minutes, and then, so that's 16, and then another 5 minutes to discuss between, and then bring it back, and then that should do it, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so so this is an opportunity to say what that was like for you, if it had any impact at all. some of it was, I found it was a little bit difficult to fit into the situation, but as far as where other people were concerned. But anyway, what was your take from it? Did it seem useful at all for at some point when you really feel like you're clinging, or not? Or Rosemary raised your hand. Okay. Did you raise your hand, Rosemary?
Yeah. Yes. I think it was excellent. And the breakout rooms were really, really helpful in each of us sharing. And I think this could be a whole intensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, oh, and maybe you could send me the article, and I mean the a link for the article or something like that. I'd love to have that article that you referencing at the end. Thank you so much, Laurie. Beautiful.
Sure. I'll put it in the chat. Yeah. Well, I'm glad it was useful for you. Is there anybody else have any?
Claudine has her.
Oh, Claudine.
I had been clinging all day because my eye was hurting. I had an operation for glaucoma a few days ago, and it was hurting, and I couldn't let it go for a minute. I wanted it fixed and so on. And I realized so much being with Darcy that at the beginning she was there, but I couldn't see her absolutely because I was completely in myself. And then after a while, when I began to let it go, then suddenly she was present, and the hand, a beautiful hand that I loved so much. And it was a really excellent exercise, being able to let go of all this clinging. Whatever the subject of clinging is. And I realized also that trying to fix it doesn't improve anything, but let it go of it makes such a huge difference. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Claudine. Thank you.
I found it immensely helpful. I already see a shift in my perspective related to the clinging, and I also think the opportunity to work with somebody else also made me a better listener. I kept wanting to jump in and relate, and instead I held back. So that's a flip side of self-centeredness and the benefits of the exercise. Thank you.
Okay, well, we better let it go there.
Gabriella, I think, wants to say a minute.
Okay.
I can let go of my clinging.
Oops, sorry, Darcy. Gabriella.
Gabriella.
There you are.
There I can let go to my preference. It was really touching these phrases and awareness of not being separate. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so, all right, we need to continue on with the program. Thank you all very much for participating. Here's Darcy.